everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Dana Mantilia, and today my guest is Hernan Popper. Hello, Hernan. How are you?
Pretty good. And you?
Good, 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 good. We have a great topic today, which should be everyone's top of mind, which is security awareness training. But before we get into that, why don't you take a minute and share a little bit about you, what you do, your training, your education, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, as you may have guessed, English is my second language by choice. I came to Canada roughly 20 years ago from Argentina, so I keep my accent and I'm very proud of it. That's how it works. From anywhere in the world, I picked Winnipeg, Canada, because it was central to all locations and a great place to raise a family. That was a pretty big change in my life. The second big change in my life was when I decided to leave everything that I was doing and start doing something that I was passionate about, and that is cybersecurity. I've been into social engineering, understanding scams, and those kind of, let's say, scenarios. But I decided during COVID, and thanks to COVID, that this was going to be my main area of work. For that, I did some quite a bit of training. I started with some training at Harvard that we shared. Was an excellent experience and
Mm-hmm.
so much learning that we were able to get from there. And since then, I've been specializing on what's called security awareness training or the human factor in cybersecurity.
All right, very good. And I would highly recommend that Harvard course, as I'm sure you would too. It was excellent, excellent, excellent. We both took
Absolutely.
that together. And anybody out there that's looking for something that's going to be very beneficial to help you get the frameworks for cybersecurity, that's a great one. So, highly recommend
Mhm.
that. Just a little plug for that course. Okay, so we are going to talk about security awareness training, which everybody does not do enough of. And our first question today is going to be, so why do people click? Why are people clicking?
Well, that is the $1 million question. And there are a lot of different studies on why we keep falling for the same scams, the same phishing emails, the same social engineering attacks. Why is it that there is not enough experience in order to be able to avoid those issues? And it's not just about business, like, for example, what's called business email compromise, which is impersonating someone from your organization in order to get money or information or secrets from the organization. It's much worse than that. I was lucky enough to attend an event last year where we had people from the Secret Service and what's called romance scam. It's a huge, huge problem where actually people would fall for scams online, pretending to be dating someone, and they are actually they have absolutely they have stolen. So it is a big, big problem, and the more we can do to share what you should do and what you shouldn't do when you are online for business personally, the more maybe we can help avoid one of those situations.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that the more conversations that we can be having, whether it's with our family at dinner, whether it's with our older parents, with our kids, with our coworkers, the more we all start talking about this, the easier it's going to be to really share ideas or experiences or scams that we've heard of or anything like that. So you're totally spot on when it comes to that stuff. And those romance scams are really, really bad. They really are. People say, well, how do people fall for those? It's not this simple thing that these people are just idiots and they fall for these scams. These people are they're professionals at creating these relationships with people that may be looking for some kind of a just someone to talk to, or it's not even necessarily just romance scams. They also have them so like relationship scams. So like words with friends. It's a
Hmm.
app. So it will start on there that you're just playing Scrabble together with these people, and then you think, well, this is nice. We have fun. We just play Scrabble. We kind of chat a little bit while we're doing this, and then the scammer will try to take that person off of words with friends and go onto an anonymous application like WhatsApp, and then they start communicating that way. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I know I'm getting off course here,
Absolutely. No, no, no. And that's great to mention because usually when we think about cybersecurity, we think about business. And yes, it's a huge issue for business, but we shouldn't forget the personal damage that it can cause.
hmm absolutely. All right. So here's another question. So should we punish those who fail?
Well, that's a great question, and the answer is no, definitely not. In maybe some years ago, the industry practice was, well, you should be ashamed that you clicked. on an email, or you should be ashamed that you provided information or that you lost a USB drive with confidential information. Now the approach is completely different. The approach is we should enforce, my apologies, we should, I'm looking for the right word, just 1 second,
Yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
empower, that's the word. We should empower our people in order to know what to do. And if they fail, that is part of the process. So, for example, when I'm working with some of my clients and we do weekly phishing simulations, a phishing simulation is when you send these phishing emails to your staff in order to get them trained on how to identify a phishing email. Well, if they happen to fail, that's a learning opportunity. And we will work with everyone who may be failing at those simulations to make sure that they understand what the risk is and how to identify those emails. And of course, the more you practice, the better you get at it. So the answer is no, definitely not.
Hmm.
Many organizations, what they are doing, and I'm also implementing that for my clients, are, for example, rewards. When you have a large client and they have different departments that they are receiving security awareness training, well, the first department to finish their training will get a prize, or will get a certificate, or will get some kind of token of appreciation.
Hmm.
The department with the less clicks will also get some kind of recognition. And it creates a healthy competition where internally within your own company, you are helping by training, but at the same time, you are rewarding those who are doing things well.
Yeah, absolutely. Positive reinforcement is definitely better off here. And we have to also make sure that we keep in mind that this whole phishing email stuff, this is all relatively new. I mean, when we first all started on the internet and we would get emails and they would be misspellings from the Nigerian prince or that you won an international lottery, and they were very, very easy to detect that this was not something that was sent by a legitimate source. But that's totally different now. They look very good. They have professional logos. They use the same kind of, they know that we're shopping on Amazon, so they're using messages from Amazon or FedEx for deliveries. So they really, really have brought it to a completely different level. So we have to keep that in mind when we say, well, why are my employees clicking on these things? You know, what's wrong with them? Nothing is wrong with them. They just, these emails look really legitimate. So that's what we need to understand, is that
Mhm.
it is relatively
Also,
new in our world.
it's quite interesting. Many of the phishing emails are just legit emails that are sent by reputable companies that are weaponized.
Mhm.
So the bad actors will actually take existing emails, good emails, and weaponize them by changing their links that you would get to if you were to click. And also, something really interesting that I learned last week in a conference was that when you're working with a professional uh, organization offering these tools, like for example, phishing as a service or ransomware as a service. And yes, these criminal organizations, they work like professional businesses. Well, what I learned last week is that they are hiring people to actually create the text. So they are paying for writers to write the text, although they don't know that they are being used for scams or for phishing emails. So yeah, no, we don't see anymore those red flags that we used to see in the past. You shouldn't rely on, let's say, grammatical errors or any kind of typos in order to identify something as a phishing email.
Hmm. And that's pretty much what everybody, thinks that they're supposed to be looking for. So, okay,
Yes.
here's another good one. So, can behaviors be modified with this?
The answer is yes, absolutely. The secret to that is repetition. It's not that different from other training opportunities where you need to make sure that you provide information in a way that is easy to digest and it's palatable and it's entertaining. So, all the time when it's about security awareness training, what we emphasize is to make it interesting, to make it fun, to make it easy to consume, and definitely not those 2 hours once a year where everyone goes just for donuts and 2 weeks later they forget everything. This is about setting up the foundation, providing good material, videos, games, interactive uh, interactive items. So it is allowing everyone to participate. And then my approach, the approach that works the best based on what I've learned, is a lot of reinforcement. So every month a tidbit about cybersecurity. Could be a minute, could be 2 minutes, could be a short video, could be a Netflix style series that actually works really well. One of the vendors that I work with, they produce this amazing quality Netflix style series that's called The Inside Men. And actually, people or HR managers are paying their staff to watch Netflix style series about cybersecurity. So yes, it can be changed. The secret again is positive reinforcement, making sure that you are rewarding and not punishing, and then a lot of repetition.
Are you having a hard time finding new customers? A lot of folks just like you in the IT and cybersecurity space are in the same situation. And they have embraced a new opportunity to get new clients. They're doing this by growing their online presence and maximizing the power of LinkedIn. How, you ask? I have a tried and tested method called my Cyber Social Program. I myself have been on LinkedIn and now have over 3.5 million LinkedIn views, and over on YouTube, I have over 750,000 video views. So I can show you exactly how I have done that so that you can promote your organization and become the authority in your industry. And the best part is, I've done all of this organically without one paid ad. You don't need to waste your money over on Google with pay-per-click ads. Now's the time to establish yourself. Look around. The competition isn't doing it. This is your time to shine online before they do. So if you're ready to start your online journey and future-proof your business, please, down below, click the link and schedule a time for us to have a 45-minute call where I can review the exact methodology of the Cyber Social Program. You can also click below to see some of my masterclasses, which will give you quick little snippets of a couple of things you can do right away on LinkedIn that will help with your profile. I hope to see you and hear from you soon.
Absolutely. All right. So here is a good one. So do you have an interesting phishing story, maybe about a QR code?
Yes, well, that's the really interesting one. Uh, we all got used during COVID to scan the QR codes at the restaurants or to just see a QR code and understand what they mean. And it's interesting, or what they are used for. It's interesting because in North America, it is kind of new. It started with COVID, but before it wasn't that big. In other latitudes, like in South America or in Asia, everything is based on QR codes, and you can actually pay using QR codes, receive money through QR codes. You see the QR codes on the window. So there is a lot of benefits to a QR code. What's the problem? The QR code is just a graphical representation of a link, which is no different than a phishing email. So a QR code could be weaponized and could send you to a page that is not what they say they are. A very interesting story that we were experimenting for some time is, well, we think that QR codes could be weaponized, but is it real the case? So what we did was a proof of concept in a small city in Manitoba. I won't indicate which city it was, but what we did is we sent a postcard via the mail with an advertising that pretended to be a new food truck that was going to be attending or going to this city. And we just mailed it through Canada Post to 1,400 businesses in this city with a QR code saying $25 off for the first 100. We got 52% click-through rate. 52% of the recipients actually scanned that QR code. And of course, it was a learning opportunity because we said, well, fortunately, this was just a test. Make sure that you don't just scan happily and without thinking, or you don't really think, well, does it make sense for me to actually scan this? And that gets me back to phishing and why people click. Uh, I'm not a neurologist in any mean, but I've attended some classes by people who really understand this. And basically, the way it works is our brain is split in two different hemispheres, the one that thinks and the one that feels. When it comes to a social engineering scam, a phone call, someone pretending to be someone else, a phishing email, uh, it is always targeting our emotions. And it's asking us to do something in order to help someone or to provide information or to maybe win a prize or get some opportunity for something. So it's always that emotional side of the brain that is actually forcing or making people fall for it. And there is a very simple way to fix this. It is just wait. Just count until three or until five before you click. And during that time, the rational side of our brain will kick in and we'll actually start asking questions. Did I ever apply for, I don't know, a grant from the Department of Defense? No. So why would I be receiving an email from the Department of Defense that I got $10,000 for my business? It is just about slowing down and thinking and understanding that there is a lot of people out there, a lot of criminals and bad actors trying to get some easy money. And at the end of the day, it's just about, well, sending millions of these phishing emails or making hundreds of thousands of calls over the phone, or sending hundreds of thousands of text messages via SMS that they actually get their victims.
That's a very, very, very good point. I'm glad that you brought that up, because urgency and emotion are two things that I always talk about. And that's what it is. We're busy and we're on the computer. We're busy doing 5 different things and we're clicking through our email and clickety clack. Next thing you know, who knows what you're clicking on. And that's the problem. And they know that. So that's an excellent idea, just to, kind of take a minute, count 1, 2, 3, and let that rational part of your brain kick in. That's excellent. I never really thought about that part of it, but that's a good tool too for us to share with our older parents that they're very trusting, right? So that's
Yes.
a really good one. So just to say, well, just wait a couple of seconds and then start asking yourself some questions. Like you just mentioned, did you ever even apply for something like this? Did you play an international lottery? Anything like that? So I like that. That was really, really good. I'm glad you mentioned that.
And actually, that goes back to the idea of behaviors. If you get used to counting, and again, 1, 2, 3, and you get used to doing that, it will become a habit, and then you will not fall for any kind of these scams.
Love it. All right. Anything interesting happening in Canada right now? CDAP program.
Absolutely. So that's something that really great opportunity. The government of Canada has committed $4 billion over the next 4 years in order to help small and medium-sized organizations improve their digital footprint. It's called the Canada Digital Adoption Program, and it is usually towards planning, improving a small business digital posture. So, for example, CRMs, ERP, SEO websites, but they also have a pretty big push towards cybersecurity. So, the opportunity is you can use federal funds up to $15,000 to put together a plan in order to be more secure online. So the only problem that the program has is that it's not really being well communicated. So I think that it's great to share the word out there for everyone above the 49th parallel. If your business is 500 staff or less, and your revenue during any of the last 3 years was over $500,000 Canadian, which is roughly 400,000 US, you qualify. So it's free money to plan for your digital posture, and it's a great opportunity to improve your cyber posture.
That is fantastic. You and I talked about this before. And I think in addition to this being a great opportunity for the business owners, this is a great opportunity for the MSPs and the MSSPs out there that have the ability to help these companies. Because if there's money out there that these companies can be paying you and you can be helping them, it's a win-win for everybody. The government is supporting this in Canada. So the more we can spread the word around that, there's an opportunity here for you to, get some additional clients, and the clients are going to be able to afford your services because the government's going to be helping out. So I think that's great.
Yes, also at the same time, it's amazing the amount of money that's available, not just in Canada, but also in the US. I'm very active in the cybersecurity community. And if you look for them, there are grants all the time from many different organizations that you can use for small projects, maybe like, for example, for an example for a penetration test exercise, or for large projects like, upgrading all your infrastructure to a more secure system. So if you are a small business or a medium-sized business or a non-for-profit, I do encourage you to invest maybe half an hour doing some research online. Just Google it, and you will see that suddenly you start finding these funding opportunities that are available for all of us.
That's a good point. And you're right. You just have to Google around. It sounds silly, but there's really no main mechanism to get this information out there. So we have to be the ones that are, yelling it from the rooftops or trying to help
Mhm.
people at least find it. So I guess Google,
Exactly.
right? Bring it back to Google. All right. Well, this was fantastic. Is there anything else you want to add before we go? This was very, very good information.
No, I would say just for every small and medium-sized business out there, just make sure that you are being targeted. It's not because you're small or because you have a small practice or you're not one of the large players, Fortune 500. Every single organization, every single non-for-profit organization, every single mom and pop shop is being targeted. So if this helps to have at least a little bit of a discussion about, well, what can I do today in order to be more secure online? Well, definitely it's a win.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. And thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate your time. And until the next episode, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.